Hello, welcome back to my channel, Doing It My Way, and today I'm going to be cooking spinach kale rice. But before we get started, remember to like, share, subscribe, ring that bell, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and thank you for coming back to watch my video. So this is the rice that I cooked already. Well, it's quinoa and white rice that I cooked, and you can see I'm separating it so it doesn't get clumped up. You know, when it gets cold, it clumps up together. And these are my seasoning. I'm going to be using onion, thyme, green onions, and garlic. I'm going to heat up my oil now so that I can saute my seasoning that I just mentioned. So this is the kale. As you can see that I've used some already. And I'm going to be cooking kale and spinach together. And that's my spinach. Frozen kale, frozen spinach. So this is the quinoa. And this is my jasmine rice that I cooked up, that you saw previously, that I cooked together. So now I'm going to put my garlic in the oil, and I'm going to have the garlic saute a little bit so the oil can get the garlic flavor. And you can tell from my other videos, I love cooking with a lot of garlic. I just love that garlic taste. And I'm going to put the onion in there, saute that some more with the garlic, and then I'll put the green onions and cilantro. Okay, so one thing I have to say, I'm going to be cooking the kale and spinach in my saute seasoning. So I'm putting some salt, put some ginger, and as you guys know, I don't go by measurement, and you can put seasoning to your taste. You don't have to use the exact seasoning I'm using, but you can put whatever seasoning to flavor it to your taste. A little black pepper. I put curry powder. I'm putting black pepper, and then I'm going to put some paprika. Okay, as I was saying before, you know, there's some kale that's very tough. Like if you buy the fresh kale and you want to make kale rice or spinach rice, or you want to make them together, sometimes the kale is very tough. So what you would do, you would cook it in some water first, but do not put a lot of water in there. You want it to be as dry as possible when it's finished cooking. So now I'm putting the kale in. So right now I'm putting the kale into the saute seasoning itself, because the kale is young, so I can cook it like that. And you know, spinach don't take a long time to cook, but if you have kale that's tough and you want to make kale rice or spinach rice, or kale and spinach rice like I'm doing, you would have to cook the kale first before you can put it into the seasoning, because you would do the seasoning the same way, and then you would put the cooked kale or the cooked spinach, or the spinach and kale into the seasoning. But when you're cooking it, do not put a lot of water, because you want it to be dry. You just want the oil mixture in there so that it can coat the rice and all that flavor can go into the rice. So when you're cooking it in the water first, remember to put very little water, and you put water as you go, because the same way this is dry, this is the way you want the kale and spinach to be after you cook it. And when you put it into the saute seasoning, you do not want any water liquid there. You want it as dry as this. So I'm just trying to tell you guys, remember, if you're cooking it in water first, if the spinach or kale is tough and you want to cook it in water first before you can put it into your seasoning, you make sure you cook it dry, and do not throw the water out, because you want the nutriment from the kale or spinach. So now I'm putting my spinach in there. And as I mentioned before, it's frozen kale and frozen spinach. And because I didn't put any water and it's only cooking in its or in the oil, I'm turning it so it doesn't burn. And that is why you see me constantly turning it. And I just want to make sure that all the spinach and all the kale get the heat. And that's why I'm constantly turning it. So I tasted it and I realized it wanted some more salt, so I put a little more salt, and I'm going to put more garlic powder in it. Well, no garlic. I have put the natural garlic, and now I'm putting garlic powder. If you don't want to mix it in the rice, this is just as good. You can use this and put it over your rice. But today the recipe is spinach and kale rice, which I'm going to be mixing it into my rice. Yes, this is ready to go. And when I usually do this recipe, I usually put the rice into the same pot that I do the spinach and kale mixture, but the pot was too small, so I decided to take some rice because I had a lot of rice there. I decided to take some out and continue to mix the spinach and kale into the pot with the rice. But I usually like to put the rice into the pot with the kale and spinach. But because the pot was so small, I had to do it the other way around. Doesn't that look good? And I haven't finished using all the kale spinach mixture, and that looks good already. I'm telling you, it is a simple recipe. It's a very healthy recipe, and it's a very tasty recipe. So try this and let me know what you think. You do not need a lot of ingredients, different ingredients. Very simple recipe to make. In my household, nothing goes to waste. So I'm going to take a little rice and put into that pot, get all that good ingredients, that's flavor from that pot, and then continue to mix it into the rice. Doesn't that look good? Look how nice and green this looks. Very healthy recipe. I'm telling you, you're going to continue to make this. Try it one time and you will continue to make this recipe. As I said, it's very simple, very tasty, and very healthy. Look how this looks. Doesn't that, oh my God, look how colorful that looks. So here's the end result. I'm eating this with a piece of chicken. Here is my spinach rice and with some salad. telling you, this is so good. I cannot wait to hear what a lot of you guys are going to say. Please try it, and don't forget to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think, if it was easy for you, if this is something that you're going to make again, if your family enjoyed it, did they like it. Just leave a comment down below and let me know what you think.